Hey everybody, it's Casual Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be covering just in very brief terms the entire new Chinese rocket tank, heavy tank line on the tech tree. They're brand new today, which I guess what day is today? It doesn't matter. They're brand new today. They're live on the server. I'm sure you've been seeing a lot of them if you've played any tier 7, 8, 9, or 10s. And I'll just give you the real brief, like, should you grind these? So here's the rundown. The tier 7 is garbage. I fucking hated this thing. It just doesn't. This armor, like, the cheeks suck. The turret face sucks. The hull sucks. The gun is really derpy, and because it's tier 7, you can't mount a vertical stabilizer. It's very slow. It only gets 3 of the boosts, which those run out way faster than you think they should. I did not enjoy any of my time in this tank. Didn't like it. I just don't have a desire to play this fucking thing ever again. This was the lowest point of the line for me, because even the top gun hits for like 300, which is, it's fine, but it's just, you just have to wait way too long. Duh. Just the platform sucks, the gun's not good. The whole thing is, the novelty is the rocket tanks, the rocket boosts, and even those aren't very good. They're not very, in this tank, they don't last very long. So yes, epic fail on the tier 7. Just pass. Do not play it. The tier 8 has this like shell thing in the hull. I did not really enjoy this tank, mostly because the armor doesn't hold up where the jack shit. It just, bleh. You can't side scrape because of this thing. The cupolas are huge. Not that there's anything wrong with that necessarily. I have plenty of tanks, like the Renegade. I like that tank, and it's got a great big cupola. But this has a very derpy gun, and it's very slow, and you get more rocket boosts. There's only 4 of them rather than 3 of them, but the gun penetration is not, I mean, just the gun handling, the whole package together, I didn't think was very good. It's not garbage, like the tier 7 is garbage. The tier 8 is not garbage, but I don't like it. I don't think it's very good. I have no desire to ever play it ever again. It's not the worst. I think I'd still rather play this than, I guess, like a TVP VTU or an AMX 65T, but that's not really setting the bar very high either. So this one gets, all right, well, give me a 0 out of 5 rating, right? So this one's a 1 out of 5. The tier 8 is a 2 out of 5. The tier 9, this one is actually a surprisingly good. I liked it. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10, or 4 out of 5, because now you have 5 jet boosters, and that's like, feels like enough, right? The gun slaps pretty good, hits for 530, so your alpha feels impactful. The gun handling isn't quite that bad, especially for how much more you hit, right? The tier 8 only hits for 420, which again, that's actually a reasonable alpha for a tier 8. But the point is, 530 slaps. And then the turret armor is substantially better. And I'm going to real quick, I'm not going to go through the tanks GG of all of them, but just this one, I'm going to just give you an indication, because the tier 9 is better, I think, than the tier 8, tier for tier. When you look at the live model in the turret, this little bit here is 55 millimeters, but it's very well angled. So against heat rounds, this will probably not be good. But if you're like, the turret's pretty solid against its own rounds, and if you shoot heat rounds, all of a sudden you have an issue. A lot like an E75. This is a lot like an E75, except you get 8 degrees of gun depression, so it's a lot easier to hide that forehead than it is on an E75. But in a lot of ways, it does feel like an E75, and I like the E75, so that may be why I like this one. The cupola is about half as big as the one on the tier 8, and so that's the big thing, is that the cupola is there. If you play like an idiot, you're going to get slapped in the cupola, and that's good for the game, I think. But it's not like waving at you, and so I think it's a lot more. I enjoyed the tank. I enjoyed this one a lot more than the 8 and a lot more than the 7. So this one, I think, is probably where I would probably stop. Just stop here. And then the 10. The 10, I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5, right? The BZ's, the tier 9 is a 4 out of 5. The BZ is a 3 out of 5, because the gun hits for 650. And the gun handling is actually okay. Again, very, very similar in gun handling to the tier 9. Doesn't feel bad, but really what's going to happen here is you have, this is a cupola, and it's a pretty good size. And this is a cupola, and it's a pretty good size. And this is a cupola, and it's well, it's not a cupola, but looks like a little jut out for the gun breech, right, when you look down. And so that's also a weak spot. And so there's weak spots all on the top of this thing. And also the hull's not very strong either. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having weak spots. Tanks should have weak spots. But really what this means is that every time you poke out to shoot, you're going to take damage, probably. So really what this thing is made to do is trade. You're going to shoot somebody, and they're going to shoot you back, and you have 650 alpha, so you're probably going to trade favorably, right? You're going to get hit with something that's 400 or 500 alpha, and you're going to hit back with 650, I hope, right? But if you miss, that feels really bad. So it's really hard. Why this is a 3 out of 5 is it's also very, very slow. Just everything about it. And you get 6 rocket boosts, but man, you can't be using those all the time because you only got 6 of them. 6 of them here. And when they run out, oh, dear God, it's 13 power to weight, and the ground resistances suck. And I'm just gonna get over here to this again. We'll do this real quick, just for the 10. I don't have gameplay footage of it because I just haven't had a decent enough game that's worth showing. The 3D model, you can see, right? These are all weak spots, right? So the problem with this is, if you're at the point where a lot of tanks will have a cupola on one side or the other. So if you're playing really well and you know what you're doing, and you hide the cupola in some way, then you are rewarded by hiding the weak spot. But this has weak spots all over this entire thing, and it's impossible, therefore, to hide them. And also, these cupolas are weak enough that you can get slapped by the tier 8 Hesh round for 700, and then you hit it back for 650. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the tier 10 of the line comes up against the tier 8 premium tank, there's a good chance that it loses, or at least it doesn't trade very favorably. So what the fuck? Anyways, so I don't think the tier 10 is bad. It's not like unplayable garbage, but it's definitely, it's not like, oh man, I really want to play this one now for a long time. I don't really have a big desire to play it a whole bunch. Also, I tested a little bit. This is a shot trap, right at this part of the turret, where like if you shoot in here, it will ricochet down into the hull. I couldn't get that to happen, but that doesn't mean it won't happen or can't happen. So the whole turret thing, I'm just not crazy about it, but you also do get 8 degrees of gun depression, which is nice. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, I don't think the 10 is awesome. It's definitely not worth like free XPing to the 10, because it's like a lot of people are going to say, oh, is this competitive? Do I need this for Clan Wars? No, 100% no. Is it fun to play? That's up to you. I think the 9 is fun. I would stop at the 9. And there, like, but they're not trash. This is probably what the tier 8 premium should have been. The tier 8 is by far the best tank in the line. Lol, the tier 8 premium tank. The tier 8 premium tank is a 5 out of 5. Maybe even a 5.5 out of 5, because the stupid thing could be moved up to tier 9 and still be 100% balanced. Just change nothing, move it up to tier 9, still a good tank. It's pretty jacked up. So anyways, that is my just however long this video is, review of the line. The 7 is trash, the 8 is okay, the 9 is pretty good, the 10 is just okay, and the 8 is the best in the entire line. So pay to win, I guess. Yeah. Best tank in the line is the premium tank. So anyways, that's real quick. I'm sure I'll have more things later with gameplay and more specific nuances and stuff, but I know today is the day. Everyone wants to know, well, it's fresh. Is this worth doing? So I figured I'd put this video out, and there will probably also be things in the next few days about the marathon that I can't talk about right now, but stay tuned for the next couple of days. So, all right, thanks. Bye.